I want you to think about the last time you hit a massive unexpected wall. Like maybe you got passed over for a promotion you worked all year for,
Oh, yeah.
right? Or a major project just completely falls apart right at the finish line. You probably felt that, that immediate sinking sensation in your chest.
Oh, the panic.
Exactly. Your
Ye-
brain just screams that this is a complete disaster, and suddenly you're just, well, entirely stuck.
And that is such a universally shared reaction. I mean, we naturally default to that paralyzing stress because we are socially conditioned to view barriers as dead ends. We spend so much energy trying to avoid failure that when it inevitably happens, we have absolutely no framework for how to process it. We just freeze.
Yeah, we really do. Which actually brings us to today's topic. Welcome to our deep dive. This is episode 1 in a series on the book, The Obstacle is the Way. And, the entire premise is about completely rewiring that initial panic response.
Right. And the big idea here is rooted in the Stoic mindset. And to be clear, Stoicism doesn't mean being some, emotionless robot who just suppresses disappointment. Sure.
It is actually a highly practical philosophy based on a really simple truth. We cannot control what happens to us, but we have total control over how we respond. The core argument is that we shouldn't just try to survive challenges. We can actually use them as the primary mechanism for our growth.
Wait, I need to push back on that a little bit because
Okay.
in theory, that sounds incredibly inspiring. But when I hit a literal crisis, my immediate biological response is this massive spike in cortisol, not some enlightened state of ruthless pragmatism.
Right, right.
The text uses this analogy about a fire, claiming a barrier acts like oxygen fueling the inferno of our ambition. But how does that actually work mechanically? Because, I mean, when a wave of water hits my fire, it usually just puts it out.
That is the perfect distinction to make. So think about a small, fragile candle. If a gust of wind blows, the candle goes out instantly.
Makes sense. But if you build a roaring bonfire, that exact same gust of wind actually acts as oxygen. Makes the fire burn hotter and brighter. The obstacle literally becomes the fuel. But to build that kind of internal bonfire, you have to practice a deliberate, looping cognitive process. It's 3 disciplines: perception, action, and will.
Okay, so how do we actually execute those steps when the wind is blowing? Let's use that promotion example from earlier. I didn't get the job. I'm angry. How does shifting my perception physically change anything?
Well, perception is about separating the objective facts from your subjective emotional story. The objective fact is just you didn't get the job.
Right, but the emotional story my brain tells me is I'm not good enough and my career is completely over.
Exactly. And by stripping away that emotional story, you interrupt the brain's panic response. You can finally look at the blockade clearly, but seeing it clearly is really only half the battle.
Oh,
Once you
yeah.
strip away the emotion, you have to move to the second discipline, which is action.
So instead of complaining, I actively break the problem apart. Like I ask for specific feedback. If I realize I lost out because I lacked a certain technical skill, I don't just sit with that failure. I use the extra time I now have, since I'm not drowning in the demands of a new role, to master that exact skill.
Spot on. You attack the barrier. And the third piece, will, is what sustains you through that attack. Will is the internal endurance to accept that this process is going to be difficult and deeply uncomfortable, but choosing to push forward anyway.
So the micro habit for you, the listener, isn't just to smile and be positive. It's finding the specific advantage hidden inside the disadvantage. Makes me think of that famous idea from Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, absolutely. The things which hurt, instruct.
Yeah.
That concept of instruction is so crucial. Pain is a highly effective, albeit, well, aggressive teacher. The actionable habit to start building right now is to intentionally pause the very next time a roadblock appears.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, before you react, ask yourself one highly specific question. How can I steal good fortune from this misfortune? Or what advantage does this specific limitation give me? Force your brain to look for the structural weakness in the problem that you can actively exploit.
Right. So you are actively deciding to take the impediment and use it as fuel. The obstacle in the path truly becomes the path itself.
Which brings up a fascinating larger implication, honestly. We spend our entire lives trying to eliminate problems, but if you had a magic wand and could instantly remove every challenge, frustration, and failure from your future, would you actually want to?
Wow, that's heavy.
Right. Or would a life completely free of friction strip you of your ability to find meaning, leaving you entirely unequipped to handle the real world? It's like a mandatory, personalized course in your own endless growth.
That is definitely something to seriously consider the next time you feel boxed in. Thanks for joining us for episode 1 of this deep dive series. And remember, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified about the next episode.